Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be using some new Bobbi Brown products. I'm going to be using the second palette I got. That's the Sculpt and Glow one, and that's in the one medium. I used the one in light in a video the other day, and if you want to take a look at that I will put the link up here, but I'm going to swatch them both together in today's video. And for the eyeshadow I picked up one of the new 5-pan palettes. There were 3 that's been released and I picked up Smokey Nudes, so I'm going to be using that today as well. Those of you that have watched my other videos, I really love Bobbi Brown products. I think that they are always a lovely formula. It's a very dependable brand. It is more on the sheer side, although I used the Smokey Nudes eyeshadow palette yesterday and I thought the finished look was really beautiful. So I've already got primer on today, as well as foundation, eyeshadow primer, concealer and eyebrows done. And yes, for my primer I did use the brand new Beiges. It's the Healthy Glow Cream. That's the one in rosy beige, which I did a review on the other day, so I will put a link up there if you want to take a look at that. When I did that video and first reviewed it, I put the Chanel Beiges, the water tint, over the top and thought it looked really beautiful. Yesterday I used it again under a different foundation, and today I'm wearing a Chanel foundation. It's a different one. It's the Ultrawear, and again it just makes your skin look absolutely flawless. It is a beautiful product. But today's video is more about Bobbi Brown. So we'll start off with the 5-pan eyeshadow palette. As I was saying, I got this in Smoky Nude, and this is what the palette looks like. I think the packaging is really beautiful. It's just very simplistic and it is very chic looking. It also feels, I've got one of the older ones here, and this does feel slightly heavier than this one. And it's also, if I put them side by side here, or up like that, the newer one here is slightly thicker as well. So there are 3 different shade ranges. One is the rosy nudes, then there is the bronze nude. I decided to pick up the smoky one because the older one that I've got, and I do reach for this one, this was in golden nudes. So I didn't really want to pick up the bronze one. I thought they may be just a little bit too similar. So this is the old palette in golden nudes. And the newer palette, just like the other one, this is made in the USA. And it has a clip closure, and inside is a mirror. And this is the colour story of the Smoky Nudes. I just think it's really beautiful. I'll just hold it up a little bit closer and just turn down my lights. So this has muted, neutral, matte and metallic shades, and they range from a pale champagne to deep black brown. So I will swatch these on my arm so you can take a look, and I'm going to swatch them from left to right. So these are the first 4 shadows. And here is the 5th one. So these 2 shadows are mattes. I think this one is a matte as well, and these 2 are metallics. So again, I'll just hold it a bit closer and also turn down the lights just so you can take a good look. And each of these pans has 1.2 grams of product. So you say I used all the 5 shades, so that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start off with the Sonia G brush. This is the Classic Crease, and I'm going to go into the lightest shade. And I'm going to take that all over my lid, through the crease, and I'll take it up quite high, I think, today. I'm going to take the Rapha 14, and I'm going to go into this shade here, and I'm going to just deepen up my crease, and I'm just going to take that slightly above as well. These blend out really beautifully. I'm not too sure whether there's a change between this and the older 5-pan palette that I have. These feel very smooth when I swatch them, and as you can see they just blend out really easily as well. I'm just going to take the Rapha 3 and I'm going to stay with the shade, and I'm going to run that just under my lower lash line. Now just wipe down the Rapha 14 brush and I'm going to go into this darker shade here. Bobbi Brown do have really beautiful browns. They just blend out so beautifully, and you can get it so that you start deeper in the corner, and then as you blend out you can get this really beautiful gradient. Then we'll take the Sonia G, this is the builder, and I'm going to go into this metallic shade here, and I'm just going to place that just over the rest of my lid, and I'm going to take a little bit through here as well. Then we're going to go back to the Rapha 3 and go into this darkest shade again, and just put some just on the outer corner through here. And now I've just wiped down the Rapha 3, and now I'm going to go into this lighter shade. This is also a metallic as well, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner. And also I'm just going to put some under my lower lash line through here as well, and I might actually pop a little bit just over the top through here. I'm going to take my Coco brush, stay with this lighter shade here, and I'm going to just run a little bit just through here just to brighten up the inner corner. Then I'm just going to take a clean blending brush and just go over the edges just to soften everything out and just blend everything through on the outer corner as well. So now I'm just going to put on some eyeliner and mascara off camera, and then when I come back we'll take a look at the Sculpt and Glow palettes. The one medium is the one that I'm going to be putting on today. As I said earlier, I put on the light one that I've also got in front of me. I used this one in a video the other day, so if you want to see what that looks like on, just check that video out. But I will swatch both of these today. So the outside of the packaging is really beautiful. It has like a felt texture, and here you've got the peachy colour, and the other one is that light sort of like a ballerina pink, and inside these you have a bronzer, a blush, and also a highlighter as well. And these are magnetic closure, and here is the colour story in the medium palette. So here you've got the highlighter Afternoon Glow, then you've got the blush, and this is in Desert Peach, and then lastly you've got the bronzer in medium. And these are both the palettes side by side. So here you've got the medium, and on the side you've got the light. So here are the swatches from both palettes. So I've done the bronzers, blushes, highlighters. So this bronzer is from the light palette, this is from the medium, the light palette, the medium, light palette, medium. So the bronzer in the medium is more cooler than the one in the light, and the blush here is this really beautiful coral compared to the pink. And with the highlight you've got, in the light palette it is pink, so it is cooler, and this one is warmer from the medium palette. So I am going to use the Sonia G, this is the Niji Pro, and go into the bronzer. As I was saying, I wore this yesterday and I thought this was a really lovely shade on, and it is quite a bit cooler than the one in the light palette. I find that these bronzers go on really beautifully. They're quite smooth, and they also blend out really easily as well. And they're also buildable, which I quite like. I quite like starting off light and seeing how it looks and then build up. So I'm going to take my Coco, this is the F03, and then pop on some blush. This colour is really beautiful, and just like with the bronzer, the blushes are sheer when you first put them on, but you can build them up. And as I was saying, I actually do prefer it with a blush and a bronzer where you can start out fairly sheer and build it up. I think you just have more control over the product when they're like that. But it is a beautiful colour. And then finally we'll go into this highlight. And I'm just going to pop just a little bit on the cheekbone. So these have more impact. And what I do after I first place them on is I'll grab a Sonia G brush in a minute and just buff it out a little bit. So I've just got the Sonia G, this is a smooth buffer. And just going to buff out that highlight a little bit, just tone it down a bit. Some people may prefer it where it's got much more of a highlight. I really like the Bobbi Brown highlights. I think they are really flattering on mature skin, but I do like my highlights really subtle, and I find if I just initially pop it on with just a brush like this, quite a soft fluffy one, and then buff it out, you just get this really beautiful subtle highlight. So now I'm just going to put on my lipstick off camera, and then I'll be back and give my final thoughts. So for my lipstick today, I used a combination of the Chanel, the Baume, and then one of the Dior Lip Maximizers over the top. But everything that I've put on my face today, I will have listed and linked in the description box below. So I think the final look is really beautiful. I did wear this yesterday, and it is classic Bobbi Brown. I think it's subtle and chic and just gorgeous for everyday wear. The packaging on these new shadows is really beautiful. I find that these blend beautifully. You can build them if you want. And I also think with the Bobbi Brown palettes, there's really like, you can't make a bad eye look with them. I used all of the 5 shades today, but if I was in a rush, I would probably just go for something like this and maybe a little bit of the lighter shade over the top, and you could always use the darker shade as an eyeliner if you wanted to. This is a really, really lovely palette, and I really love these Sculpt and Glow palettes. I think they are gorgeous. I think the packaging is beautiful. I also think they perform lovely as well. Out of the two, I'm not quite sure. When I first used the light one, I found that with the bronzer, it's probably a little bit warm and did take a bit of building up. But I do love the colour of the blush in this one. This one is Full Flush. That's the name of the blush in this palette. So out of the two, if I really had to choose, probably for my skin tone, I do love the pink blush in this one though. But probably for a palette where I was going to use all of the shades each time that I picked up the palette, then probably I would go with the medium one, because this bronzer is definitely more suited to my skin tone, and I think the highlighter is really beautiful as well. Bobbi Brown just do really gorgeous products, and although they are at the high end of the market, they're not really luxury and really expensive like Hermes and Dior. They're priced a little bit lower than that, and they do tend to put out quite a bit of these palettes, which I think are really great. I think they're very handy. They're not just for travel, they are great for traveling, and definitely something like that I would take with me, especially on my trip that I'm going to be going on later this year. But face palettes are also good for if you're really in a rush and you can't be bothered going through your makeup and you just don't know what to put on that day. Just grab a palette like this and you are ready to go. The other thing with these is that you could also use this as eyeshadow as well. I think it would be really beautiful. I mentioned it with the light palette. You could use this all over the lid, also some of this really gorgeous coral, and then you could use this for the inner part of the eye. Don't have to use a separate eyeshadow at all. Really, really gorgeous. So I am really pleased with all the Bobbi Brown products that I picked up. I knew they were going to be lovely. I think this is a really dependable brand. Every time I buy something of Bobbi Brown, it always turns out really, really beautiful. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.